Whoa. Let me go all the way up. All right. Hygiene. All right, Peter's starting off with a bang. Okay, hygiene as an option of discussion in terms of spiritual hygiene. I love it. Spiritual hygiene. It's called spiritual hygiene, so perfect. What are my thoughts on this? I have a lot of thoughts on this. So this is my thought right now, is that I'm going to make a list. I'm going to add these to the list, and then I'm going to post this real quick on the poll, and then let everybody choose. So the first 10 minutes will be taking topics, and then the rest of the time I'm planning on, doing this. Can you guys hear me okay? Hopefully you can. What is an aspect of energy of what you cover in your line of work? I hope I'm not bringing irrelevant questions. No, these are not aspects of energy. There are so many. It's infinite, literally. I feel kind of stupid asking, no, don't be. There is no dumb questions. I learned that with a kid. I ask a ton of questions. I don't know what the expression curiosity killed a cat. Are there things that could be detrimental to our, yes, detrimental aspects to our senses? Yes. Being distracted and pulled away from things. Oh, off track. Okay, that's number 2. You're the second person bringing that up today. Kids are naturally intuitive. I was anyway, so what happens? Lack of hydrogen, distractions, nefarious energy. These are just words, a medium to describe something. We get conditioned. So let's talk about conditioning. Kids and environments. These are great questions, Peter. What are the words that you would use to describe the maintenance or the loss of this? I don't know. The word is hygiene of my mind, like practices, rituals, practices for, well, there's so many different kind of practices. So maybe we can actually do a stream that's just on like the different kinds of practices for different things. Gosh, Peter, these are great. The body is a vessel, yet around us there is advertising for things that are in the opposition of health. Yes, this is maintaining the body in optimal state. Sickness is a business. Yes. I'm just going to put sickness as a potential topic. I'm sorry if this is not appropriate at the content. Feel free to I'm not deleting any of your content because this is very relevant. Peter also says, thank you for taking time to do these live streams. It's pretty awesome that you share your perspectives. And thanks for us, Oliver, for taking his time to moderate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. Instruction, not institution. Hygiene, not, I got you. Perhaps there are other folks who wish to chime in. I'll take a break from commenting. It makes sense. Other topics. Okay, sometimes I get confused between languages. No need to ever apologize here. Taking full responsibility, is how we grow. Emotional contagion. Contagion. Paying attention to what influences us. Hey, Ganesh. Influence. Good to see you here. Hi, Oliver. Thank you, Daniel. Hey, Nick. Yay, Ganesh. Is there both? Okay, so my plan for right now is I'm taking topics, and then in 10 seconds, I'm going to go post 3 options for y'all to vote on what I'm going to talk about. So thank you for playing this with me. Okay, just looking for topics. Be an imitation of Jesus, but be Jesus. We all have the potential to hold and carry and embody Christ consciousness. Okay, Ganesh, I'm going to have to put you in timeout if you keep on posting the same thing over and over again. Oh my gosh. Do you realize that that is actually not productive, Ganesh? Okay, so I'm going to sleep. Okay. Let's see what topic is relevant. So I'm going to put in a poll, and you all are going to choose what we're going to focus our energy on today. So I'm going to talk about being or feeling off track. Topic today. And then you all choose. So one of them is going to be being/feeling off track. Feeling off track. Okay, that's one. And you guys, spelling and typing, not my forte, anything administrative. Let's talk about spiritual. Do we want to call it hygiene? I don't want to call it hygiene. I'm going to call how to check your field. Because it's like brushing your teeth. Okay, and then what is another topic that is relevant? Kids and environments, which is pretty heavy, but let's see. These are the 3 topics that we're starting with today. And between now and the next 5 or so minutes, we'll just take some time to, you can ask me any question. I am from California. And what existence and why? Well, you know, that is going to be determined by your perspective and your beliefs. But, and since we're all unique here, you know, that's going to determine on you, right? We all have a unique soul signature, so our purpose is unique to our soul. And if our soul is fragmented, then our first purpose is to get our soul back whole again. The best gift I would suggest is one from the heart. So I have used this one many times, but I would suggest making a list of 15 things that you like about your wife. And you handwrite it, or you could type it out and you make it nice and you give it to her, and then you ask to read it to her. And it's usually a very heart-opening, beautiful experience. And I have yet to meet somebody who didn't use that didn't have a beautiful experience in sharing that. Can you all hear me okay? Are we good? Okay, so we got the poll going, so take a moment to put your recommendations of the topic today in the poll. And I am going to take a moment to introduce myself. I am Kiana Sage, and I guide people to peace. I practice and consult to energy psychology. That's the name that I've given it to what I do, because everything runs in patterns. And if we are out of alignment or misaligned or perhaps lost, it's going to be due to the patterns that are running in our energy field. And when those are realigned and we have more clarity, we operate differently. So it's a mix of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And this guy is saying, what a bunch of psychology, which it just goes to show you that most people don't know anything about psychology and energy psychology. And, you know, I'm looking at changing the name because, you know, there's so much confusion and so much what I would agree with misunderstandings of how our language has been completely hijacked. for nefarious reasons. And so I would say it's really about the alignment of our field. And so that's what I do every day, all day. I consult organizations, teams, and of course, one-on-one individuals. And I love what I do because I love my clients feeling empowered to make conscious choices that align them more in the direction that they want to go. And that would be with spiritual integration, right? Because, you know, when we're disconnected spiritually, we're going to question and judge and go into frequencies that we're unaware about. So we have 26 votes and 83 people in here. Y'all are choosing the topic today, so vote. Daniel is saying, is the earth a soul trap? When you die, you don't have a high enough frequency to ascend. And I experience a lot of deja vu ever since a concussion at age 19. Could you speak and understand Reiki? I think that's what you're supposed, Ruski? I'm not sure about Ruski. I think you mean Reiki. And I have to be honest, I am not a practitioner of Reiki. My familiarity with Reiki is minimal. And I am, what would you call it? I'm very cautious about energy people, and because of so many nefarious things that happen when people are bringing energies into other people's bodies, it's important to have somebody that you trust with integrity. And even though I might trust that somebody doesn't have ill intentions, that doesn't mean that they don't have vulnerabilities in their field. So for me, I don't go to energy healers, practitioners, unless I am like very much drawn. And even then I will question why. What is it that's going on here? And I go into inquiry. And I do believe in that we are and have the capacity, Daniel, to ascend. And ascension is where you're raising in higher levels of consciousness. I do think and do know and understand, I think what you're saying, that Earth is a soul trap. There's a lot of people that believe that the Earth frequencies have been lowered to a density where souls get fragmented, which they do. They get captured, which can happen. They get derailed from their mission and their purpose for many reasons. But when you are connected to the heart frequency, you don't have to worry about, you don't have to worry about being trapped when you're in connection to your heart. Again, I would say your belief systems really dictate a lot of how your soul does or does not evolve, how you do or do not ascend. Like, there are people out there that don't believe in God. There are people out there that don't believe in source energy or creation. And, you know, I don't know how they believe. I just know that there are people, and I've met them, who are struggling deeply, but they are committed that they don't believe in God. And so they don't want to use the term God. What they don't understand are the forces of Antichrist energies are influencing them. And that's a danger that every single one of us are contending with, because we have, people think of Christ like church, and it's not like going to church. Christ consciousness is a frequency. It's an energy. It's something that we align to, embody, practice. If you get stuck in the dogmas of the churches, you might miss the spiritual evolution. I am not a psychologist nor a psychiatrist. I am not a doctor. I do what's called energy psychology. How to stay motivation. Okay. Do not seek. Okay, let's just see. Am I missing any big topics here? Okay, Ganesh, would you please stop writing the same thing over and over and over again? I'm pretty sure that Ganesh the energy of Ganesh would not appreciate that. I misread your question. I am asking, do you believe in, I'm asking, do you reincarnate? And if you don't have the right frequency upon death, I'm saying I feel like I have been there before. Well, what's the right frequency? Daniel, what is the right frequency? And there are lots of theories about reincarnation, but I'm going to put that as a topic for another day. Because we could talk about what those theories are and what we believe. My movie term was when I showed up on YouTube. Somebody just asked me if I'm interested in acting. Okay, I'm just going to see. We got 59 votes. It's been about 5 minutes. Okay, we got 58% of you who voted. Oh, and there's 159 in here. I could have left it a little bit longer. The topic today is going to be off track. Feeling off track, being off track, and how to get realigned. So that's the topic today, because so many people don't really understand how to get back on track when you have the awareness that you're off track. So let's just go off of, and if you can hear my dog playing in the background, let's just go off the, what angle of off track should we look at? Because there's many tracks, right? We have many paths to our life. And so what track should we look at? I think we're going to look at being off track from your spiritual exploration, being off track from your heart expansion, being off track from the ascension opportunities that are here. So how does that sound? That is what the discussion is going to be today. And I'm going to do this off the cuff and just kind of feel into what would be most supportive for people who are off track spiritually. And so I'm gonna really talk to the person who does not know that or doesn't trust that there is an energy and a pulsation of creation in absolutely everything that we do. I want to bring this right back to the natural laws, the quantum field. So as you all know who have met me on here before, I'm a nerd at heart, and so my initial hobbies growing up excuse me, were the quantum field. And I thought it was so interesting, different religious perspectives and beliefs. And even for me, I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic church. I went to CCD. I really liked the rules and the regimen. It gave me the sense of what I thought the structure was safety, but when it didn't really feel congruent to me was the rules. So that sense of safety it was illusion. You know, these rules that were really providing incongruent ways of being that didn't make sense to me. So even as a little girl, I was looking at things like this doesn't make sense. And this goes to being off track. If you're off track, chances are you are not utilizing critical thinking. You might be being critical, Like, no, God doesn't exist. No, creation doesn't exist. I don't know about energy, but I do know I'm tired. I do know I have headaches. I do know that I'm grumpy. I know that people don't like me. I know people say mean things to me. And we have a knowing of this behavior, but all of our experience is going to be around a frequency and a vibration in which we resonate. Okay? So when we're off track, and we have an awareness that we are off track, that is a signal. It's an alarm. It's like, hey, hello, pay attention. Something is off here. Now, if you're attuned enough to notice that you're off track, then you can use critical thinking should you choose to. And I'm encouraging you all to use critical thinking. Do not accept what you're seeing as a fact. In fact, what I'm saying here, if it doesn't resonate with you, don't use it. Do not use what does not resonate with you. You want to align to a new frequency. That means you're going to be uncomfortable. That doesn't necessarily, it means it doesn't resonate. So your preferences and resonance are always, if you're incongruent, going to be different. And that will feel off track. So let's just go back to critical thinking, and we have this awareness like, okay, I'm off track. Where am I off track spiritually? So let me look at my life. Let me just like take a 5 or 10 minutes. You guys don't have to go into a complete deep dive. You don't have to spend days in therapy to get back on track. What you do need to do is spend time with yourself in reflection. And when you are in reflection, ask yourself, where am I off track spiritually? What is it that going to church? Do I really resonate with what these people at church are telling me? Is church and spirituality even the same thing to me? Start asking yourself some critical questions about, is church spirituality? Because in my experience, it's not. Religion is a dogma, right? It's a set of beliefs that you basically get indoctrinated into either a very young age or as an adult, in which you are ascribing to a set of beliefs of this organizational system. And if that works for you, then that works for you. Because I'm not saying it's bad or good or anything. But I think our aspect of our spiritual growth and ascension does have a different aspect to our evolution. So when we're growing spiritually, we want to ask, well, how often do I go out of my comfort zone? How often, and that's what critical thinking does, you see, because critical thinking will take you out of your comfort zone. People who say, well, I don't know, are not taking time to reflect. So if you're off track, give yourself some time to reflect. Take 10, maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes and just see, well, what's going on with me spiritually? Do I connect with my heart? Do I believe in a higher self? Do I believe in a God? Do I believe that God is relevant in my life? Do I believe in the Creator? Do I believe in plants and trees and nature? That's creation. That is creation energy. And then you go in, if you want to go deeper, is what do I believe about creation? How does being out in nature help me heal? Because if you're a data person, you're going to see lots of data that support healing and being in nature. You know, for my birthday a number of years ago, I had dreams of whales, and I thought, well, that's weird. I'm dreaming of whales, you know. I really just want to be around whales. And so I started exploring, how can you go and be around whales? What is that? You know, and you go into deeper inquiry. What is the spiritual representation of whales? What does it mean in your dreams? And you start to explore and you see what resonates. Ultimately, I would go to a place where whales would go to have their babies. And so I can see and experience and be around the waters in which the whales were giving birth. That's like being heaven on earth, if you will. It's magical. It's awe-inspiring to see these animals in their nature exploring. So that's how you get on track, is that you start to notice things, right? And you go into inquiry, you go into reflection and see where you've drawn that is different than where you've been. That is the spiritual journey. It's not about this mindset perspective, because spirituality is going to be different for all of us depending on how we were raised. And what belief systems not only were implemented or imposed on us, what I would call it superimposed on us, sometimes from our culture, sometimes from our family, but we have these overlays that sometimes get put on us that don't fit for us spiritually to evolve. And only upon our deep inquiry and critical thinking can we get back on track to our spiritual evolution, where we start to really unfold and align. So those are two things about being off track. So going into critical thinking, giving yourself time to assess and reflect. And then the other thing about being off track that really is something that's fundamental and a foundational thing that you could do is like know your values. I say it all the time. You must know where your values are and how are you being in integrity with your values. Because if you're off track, there's a high probability that you're completely off the mark with what it is that you truly value. McNuggets is asking, do I have a PhD? This whole thing about my credibility, I think it's so interesting that people want things. I have a master's and I teach PhD. I have taught PhD leadership, organizational leadership. I did that for about 4 years and I did not like it. But no, I don't have a PhD because I decided I didn't want to waste my time in a system that I didn't align with. Although I thought it was alluring, I thought it was dumb at the same time. CLC Productions is asked, what are you doing? I am doing in the moment topic and then providing content about a topic that you asked about. And Patrick is saying, I'm off track now. Actually, I'm right on track. So this is a very good example of other people might perceive you being off track because when you are aligned spiritually, it doesn't go in a linear way. Spirituality does not work in a linear A, B, C type of way. Spirit works in a cycle, not a number system. So if you take that circular motion that spirit works in and you apply that to our educational system, now what do you think? Now you see where the separation begins. What do you think about the devil P. Diddy? I think that our world is coming upon an opportunity to see very, very, very uncomfortable perspectives and ways that people behave. And this is just the beginning. There's going to be more, and it's going to be shocking to the system. If you don't have a connection, a deep connection in your heart, it will be easy to go into fear, and that will be detrimental to your spirit. Daniel is saying being off track and disconnected means the same thing, right? I think that I would say disconnection is a disconnection from the heart. But being off track could mean like a 1 degree shift. So they could mean the same thing. But again, Daniel, I think it's on our perspective. I would say when we're off track, we have a knowingness. So, and when we think we're off track or know we're off track, I would say that knowingness is showing you that there is a level of connection that's there, that's signaling, and so the reconnection could be much easier. If you're absolutely disconnected from your heart, meaning you don't know when your heart is, when you're connected or not connected, that's disconnection. If you are preaching stuff from the Bible, but you're in operation, in judgment, that's a disconnection. So they're different, and they're a perception. Like, I think I've told this story before. I had a really, what I would say a fairly good acquaintance that was very much a Christian Bible goer and believed in their church, and they went to church every weekend. Then they had Bible studies in which they hosted every weekend. And yet there was this thing about the borders here in the United States. This is very political, and it can be very political. And they were saying how horrible these people were, that they were coming across the border and they were doing horrible things. And they were really, really wrapped up in the story and what I would say is off track. So going back to what's off track, they were off track and they were in complete and utter judgment of these people. And my comment to her was, these are somebody's children. They are somebody's mother. There's somebody's mother, somebody's father. These are, for the most part, human beings who may be off track or maybe they're on track, but who are we to judge? Who are we to judge? Our jobs, in my assessment, is to be in alignment with the natural laws. Be loving, be kind, be honorable, be respectful, be in connection with creation and God with an open heart. Those are the natural laws. Those aren't them, but be balanced. And when you're in judgment, you're not balanced. And we have learning, and there is repercussions for that. So was she off track, in my opinion? Potentially, but I could say the conversation completely ended when I said, these are God's children. Somehow, these are God's children. So your judgment of them being on or off track, doing right or wrong, that is not your job. Our job is not to be judgers of everybody. Look at yourself. Where do you need to realign when you're off track of what you say you believe? Yes, a lot of quantum scientists love Hinduism. It's just about the love of energy, really. And there's some beautiful histories from the Indian culture. Okay, so I'm just looking for questions on specifically around being off track, and I'm going to answer those. I appreciate all the compliments, although I'm not on here for compliments. I'm really on here for meaningful, heartfelt discussions about things that are relevant. Hey, Eric, good to see you. Full heart. Eric's here with a full heart, everybody. Yes, love it. Spirituality is the journey of discovery, self and human experience. Yes. And even being off track. I did a whole video on this topic, but decision making in your knowing. If you want to see a really, I did a speech and I had it recorded, and that's what I have for decision making in your knowing, because I treat a very It's a very unconventional way of making decisions, but it's a way to feel into things differently. And it's always informative from a different perspective, because everything has a frequency and a vibration, even what you write down. So how you assess that, I talk about that in that video. Ma'am, is there any truth behind astrology? I don't know much. I'm not educated enough to speak on astrology at all. But I would caution anybody to take anybody's interpretation of things that as truth for them. You always got to feel into it. Do you believe in mantra and tantra? Do I believe in mantras? I think mantras can work. Do I believe in tantras? I mean, anything that's a spiritual practice that resonates with you, you could believe in. You're asking me what I believe in, and I believe that there is a lot of things that have been misunderstood about spirituality and mantras and tantras, and people tend to think that when they use a mantra, just saying it in their head is enough, although it's very helpful. But when you are using things like a mantra and you're saying it from your head, it's not nearly as powerful as when you are in connection to your heart. So you have that mantra and you bring it into your heart. You want that mantra to go through all your energy fields: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And what I find with people who use mantras, or sayings like positivity sayings or whatever, it's stuck in their head. And the mind will loop things, and it doesn't mean that it's actually going to manifest in the ways that you think if we're not congruent within. I'm so sorry, Dilip, about your wife miscarrying. That's got to be very, very painful for both of you and your family. And I'm very sorry to hear that. I do know you're not alone. A lot of people have miscarriages. Do you know India is one of the great spiritual countries? Man is saying core values are important. Yes, man. And what's so important is that we actually align to them. So, and what I've also found is that a lot of people that put their core values like health, it is not really specific enough. If you keep it general, it's going to be hard to hold yourself accountable to something. I think health is a great value. I think vitality is a great value, but it's very general. And so, your values must speak to you and your desires to learn and grow. What are your thoughts on grounding on the impact of healing? Grounding is how we balance our electromagnetic energy. And I think how we do the grounding is important. But I'm going to put that as a topic. I am not an expert on grounding, but I do know that being in nature and being connected to nature has benefits that go beyond what science has been able to say or prove, because the healing is in the experiencing of. And many people are going into nature or trying to get grounded, and they're in their head. So the best way to ground is to bring your attention into your heart and allow your feet to connect, and then you can feel the pulsing within your body shift. Is there anything that can take the place of spirituality for an atheist? I mean, An atheist is a denial of God and creation. So is there something that can take the places? I think, unfortunately, I'm not an expert on this because that's not where I play. When we are in denial of creator and creation and the quantum field beyond this physical world, when we deny that, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means that you make yourself available to aspects of orientation that are misguided. And so it will definitely shift your ability to resonate at higher levels of consciousness. You can have a very high level of intelligence, but a low resonance with life and the frequency of life force. I hope that helps. I don't know. Today we are talking about being off track spiritually. Man is saying, Dilip, your wife can have, I don't know what SLE is. Man's a doctor, Dilip. I would suggest going back to the grounding aspect, I would, if somebody is miscarrying multiple times, that is a lack of connection with creation. And it also is going to be a lack of grounding in general terms. Not saying, not knowing about how somebody may have injected themselves with other aspects that are interfering with the positive and negative integration of conception. However, grounding might be something that is very favorable, and I'm getting a huge yes on that. And also you might want to look at Ayurvedic care. Why do we feel empty from within sometimes? Emptiness from within is often a darkness that needs light to be shed on it. And the emptiness could feel different for everybody, but emptying, man is saying talk to a rheumatology consultant. Emptiness is going to be an experience of being disconnected from the heart in a very profound way. So how we connect to our heart will help significantly. And that's going back to getting on track from being off track, taking time to reflect, taking time to connect with your heart, writing down your values, spending time in reflection and seeing where you need to adjust. If you feel emptiness inside, ask yourself, open-ended questions like, where in my experience needs more healing? That would be a good place to start. So that could take you down many rabbit holes, but I would just make a list of all the rabbit holes and then feel into which one you want to give attention to and really work through 100%. And then when you're done to that one, with that one, you go to another one. And the thing about spirituality is it is a process. It is an evolution. And as we dive more into who we are, we align differently to how we are sensing the darkness. Because darkness is just an indication that we need to bring something more to light, from my perspective. Hello, Iowa. Hi, Daniel D. I'm doing good today. I'm a little hungry. I need to have lunch. Let's see if there's any. The topic is feeling off track spiritually. Feeling off track spiritually. Who should seek to see the God in others while leading to show the God in ourselves first? Right? Everybody else is just a reflection. How we are perceiving that reflection is important, right? That shows us where we can grow and how we can evolve and ultimately ascend. And, if this doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Take what does. And hi, Upcycled. Good to see you here. Take what resonates and leave the rest behind. Asks, don't believe in spirituality. It's a trapped, nothingness else happen. There are many spiritual traps. Yes, I agree with you. But I don't know what you're saying, don't believe in spirituality. That would be your belief system. So, that's totally up to you. If you want to stay in your head, that's great. It's a different choice in how to live, and maybe that's your soul journey. Jay is asking, what's my job? I do energy consulting with clients every day, all day. Upcycled. Oh, I see your comment, Upcycled. Raw ones, back. Accountable. Surmountable. I don't know what that means. Daniel, all of this stuff sounds complicated. Do you need to be completely spiritual to do all these practices to live a fulfilling life? Is what I'm saying complicated? I'm just going to ask a question here in the poll. Is being off track complicated? Because I am not seeing or sensing that what I'm saying is complicated at all. And I really see myself as somebody who kind of says a lot of very spiritual stuff in a way that people could take it in. But maybe I'm off on that, and maybe I'm being too complicated. Thanks for that comment, Daniel. Because maybe, I want to just say, maybe complicated is a perception that's is uncomfortable, okay? So if you were on yesterday's live, I was going to tell you that when you do not put content in a way that is logical, it's going to seem chaotic for people who like to learn in traditional ways. However, when things are uncomfortable, the learning opportunities are far greater. So you don't have to worry about getting the right word. You just need to see, what's the message I need to hear today? And if I'm thinking things are too complicated, I would ask, how am I complicating my spiritual evolution? How is my thinking interfering with my perception or experience? Because I feel it's complicated. I think that's an interesting question, Daniel. Peter is asking if I could give an example of a vague value and something that's more specific. And, I think, to be healthy that's a good value. Like, if health is something that's important to you, that would be a good value for you. But is it as specific as it could be? No. But maybe if you broke down health in a particular way, like, let's see, I don't have health as one of my values, so I'm just trying to think in general terms here. So how could you make health, an aspect of health, more applicable to a value? And I'm going to say, I'm going to honor my heart would be a value that would align specifically to health and well-being, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So honoring your heart will change how you view and assess health. Does that make sense? So that would be one way in which you can make it more specific. Well, and I mentioned the other day, one of my values, one of my top values is, digging deep. Like, I don't want to accept the surface for myself, and I always aim to get to the root of an issue with all of my clients, whether it's a team that's in conflict or dysfunctional, or a client that's looking to get a job, which, by the way, I got news on a few clients this last week who they were told there was not going to be an opportunity for a particular job. And I said, that's not true. It's coming. And they didn't think there was any possibility. So we cleared all aspects of restriction. And guess what? The job has appeared out of nowhere. So what you think is not as important as how you are aligned. Alignment is different than thinking. 100%. Oh, 50. Okay, being off track is complicated. Okay, you all are saying it's complicated. 37 votes. Okay, let me simplify being off track. Number one, you want to do an assessment. So you want to know, where are you off track? Is it a feeling? Is it a thinking thing? Is it a knowing thing? If it's a knowing thing, you definitely want to dive in deep. Once you know that you're off track spiritually, then you want to do an assessment with, how open am I in my heart on a scale of 0 to 10? How open am I with my heart? 0 to 10. And that doesn't mean with your husband or your wife. That means on a daily basis, on a scale of 0 to 10, how open am I in my heart? That's going to tell you how your magnitude of ability to be in kindness, your magnitude of ability to be in the frequency of truth and love. Okay? How open am I in my heart? Do I judge people? Am I only open to my heart to my husband and only when he's doing what I want him to do? No. How open are you in your heart? If you could do that, that's going to tell you exactly where you're off track. Okay? Spiritually. How open are you in your heart to creation? How open are you in your heart to God? How open are you in your heart to love? How open are you in your heart to truth? Those questions should help you ground being off track. Does that help, Daniel? Give me a comment here. How do we find the purpose after so many disappointments? John, our purpose is to grow and learn. So if you're disappointed and you're having multiple disappointments, that means that there are patterns to look at. So you'll want to look at what are those patterns so you can change them, so you don't keep looping into disappointment. Okay? And learn your lessons. One of the things I'm really good at is helping people learn their lessons so you don't continue to loop them. Can money issue intervene with our spiritual journey? Well, money is very much an aspect of currency that is that's tied to alignment, okay? And that currency is an energy flow. So can it be a direct correlation to your spiritual journey? It can. He's saying, I pray, I read my holy books, I meditate, and I journal, but sometimes I feel the bad whispers that are disconnect me from my spiritual self. Again, ask the questions about your heart. Doing all those practices are beautiful, but do them with 100% open heart. And then see what you notice changes. It will change. Upcycled said sometimes it can be very complicated because we are so tied up in our lives. Yes. And we get tied up in our head. But I appreciate that awareness because I want to make this content applicable. And can it be complicated, the spiritual journey? Yes, because we've been conditioned out of it. But that doesn't mean that we can't realign to our heart that is a portal to our soul and to everything that makes us so powerful and strong. Eval is saying, how can I handle this situation? A friend from the past that I no longer have interest in or rekindling has started at my job. I'm staying away from her, but it's literally sucking my energy. Yes, because you are thinking about it, and that's how siphoning works. So siphoning happens oftentimes. The first place you're going to notice it is in the mind. So you need to disconnect all cords and ties and tentacles, and then realign to your heart. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, core to core to core to core. And see how that helps. No, I don't like being challenged, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, no, this might not be the new format for you. I'll miss you. But it's good to know what you like and don't like. But also know that sometimes our preferences are not what we need. Hey, muscle therapy, we're talking about being off track. That was the topic that was shown today, and how to get on track. Logic does not always work for the same thing that has different logics. Yep, this is true. Does constantly being angry and irritable mean that we're disconnected and off track? 100%. And how can I work to temper my spiritual journey? I don't know what you mean by temper. Control is an illusion. So do we want to control our spiritual journey? We want to direct it, right? And we want to direct it in alignment with God, sovereign freedom. That's my perspective. Daniel, meditation, energy work, shadow work. I love shadow work, Daniel. One of my favorite things to do. Oh, you're saying it can be overwhelming. That's why I have a service that offers people help, because it won't be overwhelming when you're working with somebody who is in alignment with you being in alignment and being in service to others. This topic doesn't have to be overwhelming, but when you have a lot of density in your field, that will cause difficulty, which is going back to being grounded, will help with that. Solar flares are triggering people to have a lovely meeting. Solar flares can trigger, right? We're electromagnetic beings, right? How open are you in your heart? Yes. That's the question. How open are on a scale? I mean, Some of you are very logical thinkers, but you could put a number on it. It's the first number that comes to mind on a scale of 0 to 10. Muscle therapy says, and acting like a clown will keep you in a circus. Well, being silly and being lighthearted and being playful is good. It's a good thing. But it's not necessarily a resonant thing for those of us who really want to thrive. I think there's a way here to I already showed top. Okay. Just looking for questions. Oh, good, Daniel. So glad. Thank you so much for the feedback, because I want this to be applicable. So next time I got to think of a way. I'm going to try and use that scale more often. I like numbers. I think it grounds things. It's not about it being super accurate so much as it's supposed to give you a realm and a semblance of where you need to focus. How does you know that is any inner world connection? I don't think I understand that question. Hey, Scotland. Justin says, I hit 3 years clean and sober this past Monday. Congratulations. I didn't know that life could be this good. It's about working every day through. I love doing the work, still digging deep and asking hard questions. Me and you both, Justin. I love challenging questions that cause me to pause and rethink things. If you're ever embarrassed about something, so embarrassment is going to be an alignment to the ego. So somehow the mind is perceiving embarrassment as you did something wrong, so I'm embarrassed, or they're going to think something different than me. And what I will offer to you is this experience: is think about all the things that you think about all the time, and how ridiculous some of those thoughts are. And then you magnify that by the masses who aren't in connection. And they're thinking many things that make no sense too. And they're in judgment. So it just gives you more opportunity to say, why would I even care what these people think? I mean, there is a couple people that hate me with all of their energy. They are fully aligned to hate and discontent. Not just of me, I'm not that special. There are other people that they don't like too, and there are even people that they say they love that they hate. Now, how do you think I deal with that? I don't care. Because it's not my business. So mind your own business. Mind your own business and focus on getting in connection to your heart, because embarrassment is about the ego. That's overthinking things. It's focused on the wrong things. Align to your values and you will be better off. I will continue being stoic, and I am in the world, not of this world. Beautiful. Your choices. I mean, free will, we have it. I was having suicidal thoughts, but she thought she consulted me that day was a changing point. What is shadow work? Oh, shadow work is a term that many therapists use. And essentially, shadow work is looking at things that you may not be aware of. They're called, like, if you have yin and yang, you know, you have light and dark. So the dark would be those aspects that have yet to be enfolded into the light. So that's why they call it shadow. Shadow work are those things and those aspects of your beingness that are often operating in the unconscious, the subconscious, in the blind spots. In corporate world, they use something called a 360 assessment to identify those blind spots. They don't use shadow work language. So you see, language is not universal. It's been used to show things that it doesn't mean. But essentially, it's all about bringing your lightness, your light into the dark, your awareness into those spots that might be painful. It might be a wound. It might be a pain that's hidden in the shadows that are taking your shine away, if you will, or distracting you, and you didn't know that. Okay, see you later, Upcycle. Can I give you actual exercises and steps that we can get out of being off track? I don't know what to do. I am doing everything I can. Okay, so practical application, and then I'm going to sign off here. When you're off track, number one, be grateful that you have the awareness that you are off track. So going into gratitude, like, oh, I'm so glad I know this now. I was heading down this road, this path, and I realized I don't want to go down that path anymore. That's off track. Okay, so you get to change your mind of the directions that you're going. So you get to be grateful for being off track. Then you want to look at, well, what directions are you heading down that's misaligned from God, Creator, source energy, freedom. So look at those four aspects. Where are you off track from being in connection to those things? And then pick one aspect that comes to mind. So let's just say you have a bad attitude and you're off track with your alignment. Okay, so you have a bad attitude. I'm so glad I noticed that. I'm going to fix my attitude. One thing I'm willing to do is find people doing things right every single day. I'm going to find somebody doing something right every single day, 10 times a day. And so I'm going to send 10 emails. I'm going to send 10 text messages. I am going to send 10 things that I like about somebody to different somebodies. I'm going to start handing out compliments like there's no tomorrow. I'm going to align with what I see that's good. And that's going to cause your mind to start to solve the problem of finding things that are working. So that should get you on track with an attitude adjustment. So I see there, I'm just going to scroll down real quick. Okay, Daniel, Eric, I did. The Bible contradicts the very definition of God set forth in the book of Genesis throughout. I read too much of the Bible. Daniel, this is a perfect example of resonance. So today's topic was on being off track. That seems to be very much a topic that is resonant and up for people. I will also say that is going to be something that you can look at and check in with every single week. If you have your 5 values, then you can say every week, am I on track with this value? Am I on track with that value? Or if you're really intuitive, you're going to get insight like, oh, I could dig deeper on these YouTubes and be more in alignment with who I really am, which is uncomfortable for many people, which is being in the moment, which is really where I thrive with my consulting. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for playing with me on this topic. I think there's some nuances that need to be worked out, but I am going to try to be present to the moment every time I'm doing these lives. I'm here every day for the rest of this year. to do these lives between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The topic is going to be chosen by those who show up in the very beginning of the session. And I have a list here, so I might put the poll together before, right when I go live, and then you all will vote, and then we'll go from there. Peter, I wrote down a lot of your topics, but if I missed them, please put them in a comment that I can grab after this live, because I'm going to feel into these maybe tomorrow and put the options up that way. And I think that might help the flow, because I want to get to the content faster, but I also want to feel into what's really alive for the group. So put your notifications on. I am here every day between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am Kiana Sage. I guide people to peace, and I do that through physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual alignment. Today's topic was on being off track spiritually. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much to Peter and to Oliver for helping out in the mod here. I appreciate you so much, and I'm looking forward to how this evolves. Okay, take care, bye. Yes, USA, Pacific Standard Time, California. Bye.